Welcome everybody to the Finance Road Trip Podcast Part 2, the Black Wall Street Tour, also known as the Digital Financial Revolution Tour, where I take you on my journey to 22 cities with cryptocurrency exchange owner Najah Roberts with the goal to close the wealth gap through group economics and financial literacy and a focus on Bitcoin, which we believe to be the evolution of money. Najah Roberts and Hill Harper partnered to create the Black Wall Street Wallet, where you can buy, sell, and send your Bitcoin to your cold wallet. Make sure to follow me on all major platforms at CJ the Smart Guy and check out thedfrtour.com for more information on 2022 tour. Thank you. So we left Louisville on a great note. Lamar made sure that we were fed, and we arrived in St. Louis. And let me say this, the entire trip of St. Louis is a complete blur to me. Because first off, I don't know what happened. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything at all. All I know is I saw Najah running, a whole bunch of people screaming, and I heard my bodyguard yell, "CJ, let's go." And we immediately left and went to the hotel. They were hungry, so they went out to eat. I just went back to the hotel because I did eat the best wings on tour, which is Sweet Eats Fish and Chicken. But let's just say that St. Louis was a complete blur. So let me take it back and really explain the story to you. So it was May 24th, 2021, and the location was at the A&B Phase II Carwash and detailing spot at 1484 Union Boulevard. Big shout outs to our city allies, Alderwoman Shameem, Hubbard, and DJ T-Bone. It was really inspiring to pull up and see another politician, more black politicians being involved in the space, providing a platform for us, getting involved with the things that we're doing, getting involved in cryptocurrency, because a lot of politicians in 2021 had no idea really what Bitcoin was. And even now in 2022, most of them still don't quite understand it. But now they're starting to put a lot of energy, time, money in understanding it and seeing what their citizens and their residents are trying to do with this cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, whether it's trying to protect them or it's trying to provide a platform for them to innovate. A lot of the politicians are now getting involved. And on March 9th, 2022, Joe Biden signed an executive order when it comes to digital assets, and it had 6 priorities when it comes to these digital assets. Number 1 was consumer and investor protection. 2 was financial stability and mitigating system risks. 3 was addressing the potential for illicit finance and national security risks. 4, U.S. leadership in the global financial system and economic competitiveness. 5, equitable access to safe and affordable financial services. And then 6, fostering responsible digital asset innovation. And also in that was included U.S. central bank digital currency, which is basically the government's cryptocurrency. And so at this moment on tour, we're back in 2021, just to see the politicians starting to get involved, being there, being active. It was very inspiring, and it really just showed me where cryptocurrency was truly going. And in St. Louis, similar to the church that we were at in Chicago, we started seeing an older generation coming out. Typically on tour, we had people that had followed the Black Bitcoin billionaires, or we had people who were just interested in the event itself. But here you saw people actually come for cryptocurrency itself, and some of them were the older generation. So I wound up speaking, Najah spoke, Kwesi performed, and Alderwoman Shameem Hubbard of Ward 26 in St. Louis, she spoke as well. And so everything seemed normal, everything seemed going positive. But then out of nowhere, while I was helping somebody out with their cryptocurrency, I saw Najah running. I heard people yelling and screaming. And so my first instinct was that there was a shootout or there was a gun or something like that. I actually didn't hear anything or see anything whatsoever. I just saw people running. And my first instinct was to protect the women and children. So as I'm seeing people run, I'm guiding them into Sweet Eats Fish and Chicken because that's a safe building. It looked like it was on the other side of where everybody was running from. And out of nowhere, I just hear my bodyguard yelling, "CJ, let's go." And, he said it with bass in his voice. So my first instinct at that point, after I was trying to save the women and children, my first instinct was, who's talking to me like that? And then I listened because I saw that Najah was running and I saw the chaos that was ensuing. And so after thinking about it twice, I went back on to the SUV and we drove away. And my bodyguard was explaining to me like, look, this is my job. I'm supposed to protect you. And my first instinct is always to protect the women and children. And so at this moment, I started realizing that we were no longer just normal people. At this moment, we were somewhat, not celebrities, but we were important people that needed to be protected. And if events didn't go quite as planned, if there was some type of shootout or there was some type of gun that was involved, we needed to make sure that we were acting as one unit and everybody leaves the same amount of people that came in. So that was very important. I definitely thought about that for a while. But then as I was in the SUV, I also looked behind me because I was in the front seat and I saw Navon Love. And, you know, he was sad. You could tell like the look in his eyes was just hurt because he had performed as well. And so in his mind, he's going on tour, performing to all these different places. And just looking at his eyes, it really just showed myself, like it was like a mirror, a reflection of when I was a younger, more innocent self. And it kind of, you know, got in my emotions. It definitely got in my feelings because, you know, he was in his feelings because he's not used to seeing, you know, all that type of craziness. And I think it triggered in his mind what happened to his uncle. So remember, Kwesi's brother had been murdered from gun violence. So the whole time Navon and Kwesi are on tour, they're carrying around signs that are basically saying that they are doing this poetry, this rap music. They're doing these things as expressions to fight through the pain, the trauma of having their family member murdered. And here in St. Louis, when things got crazy, I think that triggered something in Navon. And so I just looked at myself and I realized, man, nothing really shook me in terms of the shooting, if there was a shooting. Nothing shook me in terms of the chaos. None of that really affected me. The biggest things that affected me was A, my bodyguard yelling at me, and then B, Navon crying or being sad. And so it really just took me back into an emotional state. I started reevaluating my life, the different situations I have been in over the times, like if there was a shootout or if there was anything chaotic. And it just took me through a lot of that trauma. And I realized, wow, I've become a lot of numb to this. Like, I don't think my mindset is quite normal. If death or violence doesn't faze me, that means that I'm somewhat numb, and that can be bad. And so just seeing Navon, it just took me back into a state of, wow, maybe I need some healing. And so everybody else, they were going to go get food. I wound up just going back to the hotel because I had eaten the best wings out there. Once again, the best wings on the whole tour. Sweet eats, fish, and chicken. It was the best ever. It was absolutely delicious. And so I still had some of that food. I went back to the hotel. And at this moment, I called the girl I was dating. Remember, when I was in Houston, I had asked my girl if it was okay to come to tour. And, you know, we had our ups and downs on tour because I believe she missed me. I missed her. We were separated. It's the longest time we had been separated. And I told her about St. Louis. And apparently I kind of had like maybe a negative attitude. I was in my feelings or something. But let's just say that that was also the night that my relationship ended. And so I was very shook. St. Louis by far was the lowest point on the tour for me. And it was crazy because it was less than 24 hours away from one of the most happiest moments on tour when I was in Louisville with Lamar Wilson. So when we're on tour, every city is a very different story. The emotions are very up and down and left and right. And then I started even thinking about it even more. I was like, man, my childhood friend, Paul, you know, his cousin had been murdered in St. Louis. Really, it was Kinloch, St. Louis, which is about 10 to 15 minutes away. But that happened less than a year ago. And his cousin was Baby Huey, the rapper, you know, Pop, Lock, and Drop It. And so he was murdered in St. Louis in 2020. So all this is coming to my mind at the same time. The girl I was dating left. Navon, you know, he had gone through some emotions. I'm thinking about my boy Paul's cousin, Baby Huey, getting murdered. And so all these thoughts just started coming in my head. And I started thinking about my aunts and my cousins who had been murdered. And all of a sudden now my whole mindset was very blurry. And I tried to make sure I pushed through. I tried to get some sleep. I tried to eat. I tried to do a lot of things. But St. Louis by far was my worst city. I hope 2022 goes a lot better. We'll be out there Saturday, July 9th, 2022 at 6 p.m. We're still not sure of the venue. Make sure you check out thedfrtour.com so that you can get the newest information in terms of who's a city ally. Make sure you check them out, email them, get in contact. I want to make sure that 2022 tour in St. Louis ends a lot better because one of the main things that I do remember, like I said, a lot of it was a blur. But one thing I do remember very specifically was there was an older gentleman who just sounded so disappointed. I don't remember the exact words that he said, but it was essentially like, man, they came out here to teach us and you guys just want to go ahead and do this? Come on, not again, every time. And you could just feel the frustration in his voice, that it was like he thought that he was coming to this Bitcoin thing. He was learning. He was probably in his 70s and he was just excited to learn something new. And once again, it ended in street violence or some type of violence. I don't really know. Like I said, I didn't hear anything, see anything. I just saw people running, but it was definitely chaotic. And so just to hear that voice, man, I hope 2022 goes a lot better. I'm looking forward to making it better. So yeah, CJ the Smart Guy. Talk to y'all soon. Deuce.